So I know that at some point you shifted, as you mentioned, so I'm assuming that first park you bought on your own with your own money, no
Yes,
investors, right? So
yes.
at what point did you transition to syndication? Question one. And then question two, would love to learn a little bit more about your investment strategy and your philosophies around raising money and, taking money from investors. I'm always curious to hear,
Yeah.
that perspective from sponsors.
Julie, I prefer the term raising money from investors rather than taking it.
There you go. Yep.
But yeah, and sometimes investors will ask me, so have you spent my money yet? I say, I don't think I'm spending it. I think I'm investing it, but time will tell. But yeah, so it was really then after I did those first couple deals that I then partnered up with somebody who had also an interest in real estate and raising funds. So what we did then was to start. We found a property and we formed an LLC and syndicated, raised money. It was, I believe, we raised 450,000 for that first deal. It was just one deal that was out in Ottawa, Kansas, of all places. We've actually just exited it and generated very nice double-digit returns for the last 7 years for our investors. But we got started small. Frankly, we found it hard to raise money initially. I will say for your listeners that are maybe going down that path, it does get easier. I now have people that email me on an almost weekly basis wanting to know when my next fund is coming up. So that's a wonderful change from where we were 7 years ago, where frankly, we had what we thought was going to be our lead investor pull out, and we had to raise money from others. But we did that the right way. We had an attorney involved who was experienced with crowdfunding money. And so we had proper documents. We, of course, made the diligence available to folks that were investing with us. I believe we raised money from 7 people or 7 entities, one of which might have been a 2-person partnership. But we then did 2 more of those deals, what we call deal by deals. And then after having that initial success, 3 deals over about 6 months, we then graduated to the fund structure, which works, in obviously a very similar manner, except now we're raising more money and buying more properties, and our investors get some diversification across multiple mobile home parks rather than just being in one single deal.
So tell me a little bit about your overall investment philosophy. Like, what
Oh,
types of deals do you guys go after? Why?
yeah.
What's your hold period? Talk to us about that.
Yeah. So we are obviously a for-profit entity here at Park Avenue Partners. We, however, also do have a social mission, which is to expand the supply of affordable housing. So, and frankly, it's nice when a worthy social mission can also line up with what's right for your pocketbook. So we're blessed to have that alignment. So a typical property for us would be, say, roughly a 100 pad mobile home park that might be, let's say, might have, say, roughly 80 resident-owned mobile homes in it, might have, say, 5 abandoned mobile homes, and then might have, say, 15 vacant mobile home park pads. So we will go after the low-hanging fruit first, which is to say we'll renovate those roughly 5 mobile homes. We'll put those out on rent-to-own agreements, typically for around $2,000 a month. Typically, total payments are going to be $700 a month, maybe a little less, and folks will probably own that house in 3 to 5 years. So we don't keep folks indebted on like a 30-year mortgage. We want them to see the light at the end of the tunnel. So we'll get that done, and then we'll go about buying probably brand new homes, but sometimes later model used homes. And we'll bring in, and it'll take several years, but we'll bring in those roughly additional 15 homes. And again, only put those out for sale, typically on rent-to-own agreements. We do also work with an outside finance company, so sometimes it's a regular mortgage. But one way or the other, even with the nice new homes, we're helping people get into a house almost always for less than $900 a month, maybe with just $5,000 down. They're probably going to own that in 10 years, 15 at the most. And again, that compares quite favorably to local apartments that would be typically $1,200 a month for like a 3-bedroom house. Again, we're typically able to get people on the path to ownership for around $900 a month. And once they own it, of course, they own it. Then they just pay the lot rent, or if they choose to move the house, say onto their own land, it's their business. That's their house at that point. But we help people live for less than what they would otherwise pay in an apartment in our markets. So we're generally looking for markets that would have, say, average house price of $100,000 and up. And we're typically looking to be within, say, 5 miles of a super Walmart. And typically on all city utilities, city water, city sewer. Sometimes we'll deviate from that, but typically we're looking for all city utilities. And again, where we can find a property reasonably priced that has that kind of upside from rehab and infill of homes and is in a reasonably economically healthy area, then we really dig in and see if there's a deal to be had.